Well, everybody, it's Groundhog's Day again for David Goggins. If you pan it down here, you see it's about 3 o'clock in the morning and there's not a car or a person in sight. If you pan over here, it's the same thing. Not a car or a person in sight. People want to know where I find my strength at, where I get my strength. I get it from a lot of places, but right now, this morning, I'm getting it from, there's not a motherfucker that's up. There's not a car, there's not a person. Everybody's in their bed, sleep, dreading that it's a Monday, hate it's a Monday. And I'm loving it. I'm loving that. Where everybody's getting weaker, I'm getting stronger. It's not about the running, the swimming, the push-ups, the sit-ups. It's about what those things do for your mentality. You don't get better on the daggone couch. You get better by coming out here and getting the fuck after it every daggone day. Stay hard.
I think that so many people are so disconnected from themselves. They're operating on autopilot. They're reacting to their environment that even when given the opportunity to set a goal for themselves, they generally don't set the right goal.
Right.
Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Because they don't even know who they are fundamentally.
That's the big thing, man. And that's why it was important for me to finally realize, stop being all these fake people I used to be. Stop being afraid. There was no growth until I cut myself down to nothing, to the person I really was, the real human being. And once I found out who I really was, that's when I started growing. I was trying to build on top of a lied, fucked up foundation. You can't build a house on a fucked up foundation. So I had to get down to the actual mineral soil of who I was, and that's when you can start real growth.
And what is the role that suffering plays in that, or the willingness to suffer?
It starts to peel all those layers away, all those artificial layers away. If you're willing to suffer and go back in the grind, that internal dialogue you have with yourself when you're in misery and you're uncomfortable, it's a real, scary, unfiltered, no lying dialogue between you and yourself. And people know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about when you're in a bad spot in life and your mind is saying all kind of shit. That's who you really are. That's the real you. No Rocky Balboa moments going on up there. You're like, hey, you know, it's around 14. Let's come on. We got this. No, it's like, fuck this. I'm out of here, man. This is crazy. That's where the growth happens. When you're able to stay in that moment and talk yourself back into the suck of wherever you're going through, and you start stripping those layers away. But as you're stripping those layers away, you're building calluses over top of shit in your mind. That's where the growth starts to happen, is when you have to force yourself to stay in it. You can't leave it. That's
why ultras are such a great vehicle for self-exploration. And
100%.
That's why you see all of these cultures over the millennia that you talk about in your book who use running as a means of self-exploration and a path to enlightenment, because you can't bullshit yourself. When you're it strips you down to who you are, and you are confronted with the truth of yourself and your reality, and you're forced to wrestle with that in a way where there's no escape hatch.
No. Like that first 100-mile race I've talked about several times, where I lost everything.
Still the hardest physical thing you've ever done, right?
Yes, physically and mentally, because like you just said, I was unprepared for that race.
No training. You should just recap it. Like zero training, running 100 miles so that you could impress Chris Kostman.
To get in the bad water, pretty much, right? It wasn't about impressing that guy by any means.
Well, you needed him to sign off.
I needed to sign off on it. And it was like 3 days later, I'm in a 100-mile race, no training at all. And when you do that, it is stupid. But what it does, if you're not going to quit it, like you just talked about, it breaks you down to nothing. You are suffering so badly, mentally and physically, that all of these demons are coming up. And you're trying to find answers, and you're trying to find answers. It was like living 19 hours. It's like 5 years I put into 19 hours of highs and lows and pitfalls and seeing the sun come up. And it was like, my God, I lived 5 years in 19 hours. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.